Hey guys, welcome back. It's me again, and I'm going to be looking at the recent episodes of Star Wars Rebels Secret Cargo. Now, I made a video last week suspecting who the Rebel leader was, and I was correct with Mon Mothma. This is the most intriguing and most interesting episode, thanks to the fact it's the start of the rebellion, but we'll get that in a minute. We start off with Ghost Squadron, or Phoenix Squadron, going in a mission to find fuel for a rebel fleet, but only to find out a protocol droid is there watching them, trying to gain the information, and then finding them eventually and just about escaping before Ezra Bridges shoots it down. Then we get introduced to the fleet of Y-Wings, otherwise known as Gold Squadron, which was featured in Star Wars Episode 4 and Rogue One. Which was making this interesting. When we first saw the fact before the protocol droid arrived about Mon Mothma set up argument against the Emperor Palpatine, declining about his accusations as Emperor, and showing the brutality that he is and the dishonor the Empire has brought. Immediately bringing Mon Mothma to an act of treason immediately and ask for her arrest to wait for trial. And when we visit the fleet when it comes out of hyperspace with Gold Squadron, you first get introduced to Dutch Vander, the leader of Gold Squadron, and the first time we saw him was in Episode 4, making a legendary comeback into the Star Wars universe. Facts between Gold Squadron and Phoenix Squadron start breaking out in the middle of refueling the Y-Wings, showing the facts that despite the rebellion is on going for the Empire, there's all different factions of the rebellion think of different ways of taking down the Empire. We first saw this in the Fall. We saw that in the Fall as well. We've seen this in Rogue One as well, and we also saw this in the Ghost of Geonosis with Saw Gerrera with his own opinion. But soon after that, the Empire finds Mon Mothma and they have to escape, making Ezra Bridger in charge of one of the Y-Wings. Soon after they escape, Mon Mothma has to leave her ship and go for the Ghost to find a way to secure location. Instead of hiding, she decides to go to Dantooine and call for the rebellion. To rally up all forces of the rebellion, factions and rebel groups to go up against the Empire's rebel alliance. But we'll get to that in a minute. Hela decides to bring Gold Squadron and Phoenix Squadron to a nebula to escape the system. But during the attack, Thrawn realizes that Hera Syndulla will use this tactic and gets two Star Destroyers to wait outside the other side of the nebula. I was very surprised when I was hearing about this, and it was actually quite smart of them to actually do this for the Empire, but they still don't really do a good job at the end. You're getting there, Empire, you're getting there. So when we get to the nebula, Thrawn decides to use one of his new toys. I am so thankful I've actually got to see this. The legendary TIE Defender. We actually get to see the TIE Defender in its full prime, as we expected it from TIE Starfighter, the old game. It's so powerful, it's built with shield and heavy firepower, making it an elite force to be dealt with. Piloted by vote scareness. The first time we saw him in Tilly's extraction. First time we saw him was the best pilot in the academy in the area. So making him captain vote scares. So they go into the nebula with two TIE interceptors and they get caught into battle. Hera uses the tactic, tells White Gold Squadron not to use heavy weapons because they'll take action on the nebula and enforce an infliction, causing a reaction to the fuel. The explosives, making it more deadly than it was, which we'll get to in a minute. So the TIE Defender nearly destroys the whole of Gold Squadron, leaving Ezra and Dutch Vendor in the Y-Wings left to fight the battle. But Heather uses a smart tactics and goes to the sun that's being created inside the nebula, making it a lot more dangerous, actually harming the Ghost a lot, and actually destroying the TIEs and nearly destroying the TIE Defender. It's quite savage, really, but it worked. Cooking people alive in their own ships, that's quite savage for Hera, but it still works. So, once Hera and Mon Mothma get away from the nebula, the Empire is waiting. As I said, this was interesting. They get caught in a tractor beam, and then, while this is happening, Ezra and Dutch is fighting their way to destroy the TIE Defender. They are successful, luckily. Well, I wouldn't say destroyed it yet. They only stopped it with ion torpedoes. From the new thing I've saw about Y-Wings. Y-Wings have moved fast since the Clone Wars. It's quite interesting. So, Dutch and Ezra come out of the nebula. Heather and Mon Mothma is getting caught by the tractor beam. Ezra suggests to use the Y-Wings on the Star Destroyers, but Heather reminds him to use on the nebula, which making it a lot more dangerous, causing a massive explosion. I would say it's my most favourite explosion. Not proper ship explosion, just like the one that was used in the mission back in Star Wars Rebel series with that massive explosion, the biggest ever explosion made by the Clone Wars. Not destroying the ships, but causing massive damage to the ship, the Star Destroyers, and making them get away. And then the rest of the Gold Squadron and Phoenix Squadron get away. And then we get to go to Dantooine, my most favourite planet of Dantooine. Thank God. Well, it's not my favourite, but it's a core moment in the Rebellion's history. Because if you remember in episode 4, there was a scene where Tarkin gets informed of a rebel base that gets put there.
Yes?
Our scout ships have reached Dantooine. They found the remains of a rebel base, but they estimate that it has been deserted for some time. They are now conducting an extensive
So
search of the
when we
surrounding
go
system.
to Dantooine, Mon Mothma sends a message out from the ghost ship, which is impressive, to a message to all the Rebellion factions. You get to see the actions of all different factions, like Senator Bail Organa, the rebels on the Fall, and many other rebel factions throughout the galaxy. Hearing the call out for rebellion, as she says, more or less, she has been signed off, or not being senator from the Galactic Senate. She comes as a senator for on the front lines with the rebellion. So when we see her in Rogue One, she's on escape. This is all basically what it is. It's about her escape. and we thought there was not going to be anyone coming, but then one after another, ship after ship, more ships come out, and I'm looking forward to this. We actually get a beginning of the rebellion. I also saw a Mon Army ship in the fleet, so looks interesting. So we might get to see Akbar, hopefully. And we actually see John Veers, I believe that's his name, the general, from Bail Organa's forces. So after watching this, I found it quite an interesting thing, but we see at the end all the ships come in, and we can truly see the beginning of a rebellion. I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you get to watch more videos like this one in the future. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and may the force be with you.